Thiruvan Saranai, everybody. We are going to start the first day of our program. This is the first Dhamma talk. So to start the Dhamma talk, we all together say Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Katame Panchadhamma Visesa Bhagya Panchindriyani Saddindriyam Virendriyam Satindriyam Samadindriyam Panyendriyam Ime Panchadhamma Visesa Bhagya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, in our Australian tour during the Vesak month, which is May and June, organized by Samahita Australia group. On the first day of the program, we are starting this discourse or this particular talk. For this talk, I have selected a section in the discourse called Dasuttara Sutta, Dasuttara discourse. The peculiarity in that discourse is they are talking 10 things in that discourse for 10 items. They take 10 items of ones, 10 items of twos, 10 items of threes, so on and so forth, up to 10 items of 10 things. And the 10 things they are considering are Dhammas that are very helpful, is the first one. Dhammas that are to be developed. Dhammas that should be comprehended. Dhammas that should be abundant. Dhammas that are on the side of decline. Dhammas that are on the side of distinction. Dhammas that are hard to penetrate. Dhammas that should be made to arise. Dhammas that should be directly known. Dhammas that should be realized. So for these 10 things, they are asking one of these 10 things, two of these 10 things, so on and so forth. For our discussion, I'm not going to take all of this because it will take long time to complete. Since we have 5 days, I have selected 5 Dhammas that are on the side of distinction. The particular verse that I just chanted is having this meaning. It is asking which 5 Dhammas are on the side of distinction. And the answer that is given in the discourse is 5 faculties. And then Venerable Sariputta is the owner, the narrator of this discourse, which the Blessed One has subsequently approved. And the faculties that he is mentioning are faculty of conviction, faculty of persistence, faculty of mindfulness, faculty of concentration, faculty of discernment or the wisdom. These 5 Dhammas are on the side of distinction. So that is what they mention here. Saddindriyam, Virendriyam, Satindriyam, Samadindriyam, Panyendriyam. So of these 5 things, we are going to talk about the faculty of conviction today. So why do we have a talk during a practice session is because it is the recommendation of the Blessed One that when we practice, it is very helpful for us to support the practice. And this practice is called the practice towards the realization. And that realization comes with the right view. So in order to develop right view for the development of wisdom, we will have to support the practice. And in the supportive factors discourse, the Blessed One has mentioned 5 factors with which we have got to support. The 5 factors are the virtue supportive factor, and in some translations, they call it supported factor. I prefer the word supportive factor. And the other one is listening supportive factor, which in Pali is called Sutta Anuggata. Virtue supportive factor is called Sila Anuggata. And the discussion supportive factor, which is Sakacha Anuggata. And then concentration supportive factor is called Samatha Anuggata. And the insight supportive factor is called Vipassana Anuggata. So by these 5 factors, when we support the practice, it is helping you to understand the knowledge or the experiences that you get during the practice. What we do in the practice is we are trying to develop mindfulness. To develop mindfulness, we are using various techniques, such as being mindful while walking, being mindful while sitting, being mindful when we do our day-to-day activities. So this is possibly something that we haven't done when we live our normal life. So here, when we do this intense practice, you may gain some new experiences, novel experiences. These experiences can be confirmed when we listen to a talk like this. And of course, you will have the same result even in the discussion. And in addition to that, you may gain new knowledge regarding the practice when you listen to a talk or when you engage in discussion. And also, this listening and discussion supportive factors will help clearing your whatever skeptical doubts you may have regarding the practice, regarding the Dhamma, regarding Buddha, regarding any scriptures or anything that you may have. And also, we are coming into this practice hopefully from various backgrounds with various conditions and viewpoints, and you may also be able to put those viewpoints into discussion or measure them through the jargon of this listening knowledge. So with that, you may be able to straighten whatever view that you may have. And finally, listening and discussion will help you to have arousing of Dhamma. We call it Dhamma Uddacha. You will have tremendous positive energy generation when we listen to a talk or when you engage in Dhamma, because we are tapping the highest knowledge in the universe. So that if you can be in line with those knowledges, then it will tremendously energize you. And that energization is another advantage of this listening and discussion supportive factor. So that is why we are taking this discourse, especially in the case of listening supportive factor. And in addition to that, this Sila Anugat, or the virtue supportive factor, when we started this program, we started with the 8th precept as our basis. So that is a higher acceptance of virtue in order to support our practice, because we are giving, we are sacrificing our normal life and coming here to give it a crack. So then that requires a stronger foundation on one hand, and on the other hand, you can challenge yourself also to see how best we can master the practice with better virtue or higher virtue. And I'm not going to go into detail of the virtue supportive factor, because we have a separate topic selected for the discussion. And samatha and vipassana, in other words, concentration and insight supportive factors, we are supporting with them from our day-to-day sitting and walking and day-to-day activities. That is what we are doing during the whole day. So those practices, how your samatha and vipassana is improving, will mainly be discussed when you provide your reports during the discussion. So with these things, we are supporting our practice, and your practice will go from strength to strength. And now I'm taking the topic of the day, which is the faculty of conviction. In other words, Saddindriyam. When we take the faculty of conviction, conviction is, in general terms, we call it faith. And when we do something in day-to-day activities, it is always taking the center stage. There is nothing in the world that happens without faith, right? When we are children, we have 100% faith with our parents for everything, and we have no reservation about it. And when we go to school, we have 100% faith in the system that they will not do any harm, and they will do all their best to provide the necessary education and the knowledge for the society. When you go to a doctor, we have the faith in them, and so on and so forth. We have faith in each and everything that we do. When we get married, when we have children, and when we go to work, and when we select a profession, everything we have faith. It is not only limited to human beings, it is a common denominator in the entire animal kingdom, in the entire animal world. See, ants, they have so much of faith in the in working together. And take bees, they have so much of faith in what they do. So like that, this faith is a very common thing for the human beings, and for that matter, if we put it in a larger scale, in the entire animal kingdom. And if you take just the human beings' spiritual side, all the denominations of religious faith are, all religions are basically based on faith. There is no religion that is not based on faith, because we always don't have something that is tested and given to us. When we are born, we are usually put into a particular site. It may be any belief that our parents usually have, right? So therefore, whether we like it or not, from the childhood, we accept that. In most of the societies, that is the case. But nowadays, with the improvement of access to information, and there are shifts in faith. People move from one denomination to the other because they believe that particular faith is much better than wherever they are in. So therefore, faith not only has a great impact on our day-to-day living, it has a great impact even in our spiritual life. And when I say this, reminds me a discourse that is in numerical canon, numerical basket of the canon. The name of the sutta is Nimitta Sutta or Devata Nimitta Sutta. And that discourse is mentioning something like this. And it's a discussion between, Blessed One says, this is a discussion between the gods in the divine realm. So far as Buddhism is concerned, we are not talking about gods who are creators, but gods for Buddhists is a realm in which another type of living being are residing. So when one of the divine being is about to disappear from the divine realm, some other god, possibly their relatives, friends, near and dear ones, is coming and advising. And the advice they give is, the first one, Ito bho sugating gaccha, which means you go to the divine realm. Sugating gaccha means go to a better world, better divine world. And the divine world they are talking in the divine realm is the human realm or the human world. And they say, and not only just go there, they say, Sugating Ganetwa Sugating Suladdang Labang Laba, which means go to that divine realm and have the most precious and most scarce profit that one can have. And this most scarce profit that one can have that they are discussing is the faith. And then they say in the third advice, Suladdang labang labitva supatitito bhavayeti, which means once you have this difficult to acquire profit, difficult to acquire gain, you have it for your complete access. You completely acquire it. You become the owner of it and have strong foothold on it and don't ever let it go, right? Which means once you have the faith, at least ensure that you attain the first stage of enlightenment. So this is the advice that the gods are giving to the god that is about to disappear from the divine realm. Now, when you look at this from the human world, a lot of humans are doing things from the human world to go to the heaven. But whereas the heavenly beings are telling for whoever who is disappearing from there, go to the heaven. So it's a very huge confusion between these two realms. Which one is the heavenly realm? For the heavenly beings in the divine realm, the human world is a heaven. Whereas for human, they are trying their level best, doing all pujas, making all offerings, being so much generous, and doing a lot of charitable activities, and their wish is goes to go to the heaven. They don't know that they are already in the heaven. And when they are in the heaven, what they are supposed to do, they don't know. What they are supposed to do is have the faith. And when I say faith here, it is not very clear until you go to the last advice. In the last advice says, Suladdang labang labitva supatitito bhave, which means once you have this faith, you have it for your own access. Don't let it go. So, which means it is not just the faith in any denomination. It has to be the faith that takes you to the enlightenment. In other words, this faith that they are talking about is the faith in the Buddha, faith in the teaching. So when you have that faith, then you will have the path to liberation. Then you will have the path to wisdom. And I'm very skeptical that other denominations, most of those denominations, they are talking about being with the Creator or going to the heaven, in other words, or to the hell. But so far as Buddha's teaching is concerned, yes, there is a hell, there are few adobes for divinely being. But his teaching is go beyond all these realms of existence, and to go beyond this existence, you will have to enter the path of enlightenment. Then you will be above anybody else and everybody else. So that is where you will have the real liberation, because in all other realms, the period that you will be there in those realms will depend on what good or bad you have done. And once the good that you have done has been consumed, you will have to leave that place, and you don't know where you will be going after that. There are so many explanations, so many discourses explaining those things, which I'm not going to go into detail because that's not the topic today. So what I simply want to tell from this discourse that is in the numerical discourse is that the faith is something that we should have if you are a human being. That is what they say. And most of the human beings are in the human realm because they have the capacity to acquire this faith, and because they have the capacity to go into at least the first liberation. So therefore, if one gets this very scarce gain, then he or she will have the best gain that any human being can have. The gain that we are talking about is how much of fixed deposits we have, how much of fixed assets we have, how much of current assets we have, how much of liquid assets we have. That is the gain, that is the profit, that is the asset we are talking about. But so far as the Blessed One is concerned, the most scared gain is the faith. So the faith, when we say faith in what? The Blessed One is explaining again, this faith should be mainly in four things. First one is the faith in the teacher, and then the faith in the teaching, and then the faith in the community of those who practice, which we call Sangha, and then faith in threefold discipline. So if you have this faith, and that is the most scarce faith. When I say the faith in the teacher, teacher is the Blessed One. He is the ultimate teacher for us. And that teaching has come down the line from the Arahants to Arahants to Arahants. And then now you have someone teaching you the same thing. So if that person, when you are listening to that person, you will have to see whether that person is teaching exactly what the Blessed One taught you, or Blessed One introduced to the world. So therefore, when we have faith in the teacher, Blessed One, and from Blessed One and downwards, we need to have some relationship between the Blessed One and our practice. When we see this relationship, then you can have the faith in the teacher. So our practice is the practice of mindfulness. So when I say the practice of mindfulness, the Blessed One has mentioned that mindfulness, or if I may broaden it a little bit, the scope of the Blessed One is the four foundation of mindfulness. There is a discourse called Sakunagi discourse. In that discourse, there is a nice story. Once a huge eagle comes and picks up a tiny chick of a very tiny bird, right? I exactly don't remember the name of the bird. In Pali, we call it Kata Kurulla, which means Kata bird, I may say. This bird is very tiny. Is hiding in the broken soil in the paddy fields once the harvest is taken, and when the flow is so dry, and they have small holes in the dug into the soil, and that is where they usually reside. But sometimes they come out and hide under the broken soil pieces, so that they will be protected from predators and sun and all sorts of things. So one day, one of these chick of this tiny bird, even tiny, has been picked up by the eagle. And then when eagle is taking this bird for his meal, this tiny bird kept shouting, I should have listened to my father, I should have listened to my father, I should have listened to my father. Then this eagle asked, what has your father told you? Then he said, my father said, I should be in the protective abode. If I am in the protective abode, then nobody will be able to harm me. Then the eagle felt ashamed. This tiny bird is challenging the eagle. And then eagle thought, okay, I don't take you as my meal now. I'm releasing you. But anytime I'll come and pick you, be careful. So this bird said okay, and both of them agreed. And eagle came down and released this tiny bird, and he was so relieved. And immediately he went into the hollow dung in the soil, and he was waiting there for some time. But being a small bird, one who does not have much experience, he could not be there again for a long time. he once again came out and once again came out, and but this time he knew that eagle will come anytime and pick him. So therefore he was very vigilant. And then when he was having this concentrated attention towards what's going to happen, there was a time eagle was shooting down towards him. So as soon as he came very close to the bird, he immediately dashed into the hollow in the soil, and then he was able to protect himself. And what happened to the eagle was eagle came and hit the soil, hit the floor, and he went into eagle was killed instantly. So taking this example, taking this simile, the Blessed One says, monks, I am giving you a safe abode for you as well, like that bird. The safe abode that I am recommending you is have vigilance in the four foundations of mind. Be alert all the time in the four foundations of mind. So when we talk about mindfulness, we are talking about the mindfulness of the body. We are talking about when you are with the body, you will naturally have feelings. So it may be pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, but you will have some sort of a feeling. So if you are in feeling, just be mindful of that. And when you are in feeling, maybe your deeper layers of the mind will come forward, come out, will be opened up. So if they opened up, again, this is not a place where you have got to be panicked. You have got to be mindful of that as well. So in this manner, if you keep your mindfulness to the fore all the time, then you will be alert, irrespective of whether you are in your physical process, irrespective of whether you are in the feeling process, which is the connection between the physical process and the mental process, irrespective of whether you are in pure mental process, you will be mindful of. So when you are mindful of in these three processes, what you will naturally experience is the nature of the universe, which the Blessed One called the mind objects, or in Pali we call it Dhammanupassana, or the phenomena that is taking place. So when you have phenomena that is taking place, that is the next foundation of mind. So when someone is talking about four foundations of mindfulness in the right way, then he is talking about what the Buddha was teaching. And if someone is talking something else, which is not related to four foundations of mindfulness, or not in the right way that is mentioned in the four foundation of mindfulness, then that teacher is not talking about what the Buddha has introduced to the world. So when you have the faith in the teacher, you will have to see whether that teacher is talking about the Buddha's scope that he himself has outlined for his followers. And in that case, if that teacher is teaching that, then it is definitely you are having the faith in the right teacher. So you don't have any suspicion about it. There is no need to have any doubt about it, right? And there is no need for you to keep window shopping. You can have your faith in that particular teacher. So the Blessed One says, if one sees me, he sees Dhamma. If one sees Dhamma, he sees me. So when we take that equation, seeing the Blessed One is seeing Dhamma is seeing Blessed One, then we have a very clear link between the two, which is the four foundations of mind. Because the Blessed One says, four foundation of mindfulness is my scope. So therefore, if the Blessed One's scope is four foundations of mindfulness, what he is teaching is four foundations of mind. So therefore, when you have the faith in the teaching, which is four foundations of mind, it is not just four foundations of mindfulness. It has to be keeping the mindfulness to the fore. That is what the Blessed One taught, introduced to the universe. Because the mindfulness was something that existed even before the book. It was not something that was new. Mindfulness is something that is compulsory for anyone to develop their mind. So there were people who had developed their mind before Buddha. But the important thing is whether they really help the liberation. Buddha himself went through those processes and realized that he is not coming out of friction. Then he said, I am going in search of truth. And he left all the other teachers. And he found the defect in their teaching. Although they used mindfulness, they did not keep the mindfulness to the fore. What is mindfulness, as we have already introduced in our basic instruction? Mindfulness means just have choiceless awareness. But in the teaching before Buddha, awareness was there, but it was chosen awareness. It was selected awareness. It was decided awareness. It was a judgmental awareness. But the awareness the Blessed One talking is about non-judgmental, choiceless, mere awareness. And when you have mere awareness, then we are with the Buddha, we are with the four foundations of mindfulness. That is why, since we have the choiceless awareness only, we will be able to go from body to feeling, feeling to the mind to the phenomena. Those are the only four places that the mind can go, or the human beings can have awareness. Human beings can have experience. There is nothing else in the universe for any living being that you can go beyond, right? So therefore, if someone is talking about mindfulness, and more specifically keeping the mindfulness to the fore, he is talking about the Dhamma, he is talking about the teaching. So you can have the faith in that. And then community of Sangha. When you see community of Sangha is not the saffron robe. It's not the bald head. Community of Sangha means those who really walk on the path of the Blessed. There are so many lay people walking on the path of the Blessed One. So many. And therefore, you don't undermine yourself saying that I'm just a lay person. I'm not in the practice yet. No. Sometimes you may be 1,000 times better than some of the saffron robe wearing monks. Some monks have directly told me when I was a layperson, sir, even we don't practice in the temple for such a long. And how long I was practicing a day? 2 hours a day, doing every chores as a layperson. I'm allocating 2 hours minimum for my practice. So it is very hard for some of the monks to find those 2 hours. But I'm sure there are so many lay people doing that hard yard with everything else and having the faith in them, having a faith in that community, that there are people walking on the path, there are people who have experienced things in the path, there are people who can help us in the path, is a huge plus in your faith path. And what this community of Sangha doing is they are disciplining themselves. They are disciplining themselves in the threefold disciplines. We call it Trivida Shiksha. What are these threefold disciplines? They are the higher virtue, higher concentration, higher wisdom. We call it Adi Sila, Adi Chitta, Adi Panya. Adi, in other words, higher, means people are virtuous. People have concentration. People have wisdom. But that virtue has to be balanced. It should not be too much. It should not be too less. So finding the right balance of virtue, because you can't be 100% virtuous, you cannot be slack in your virtue as well. But there is a right balance that is necessary in virtue. When you have that right balance, that is called higher virtue. And it is not just the increasing number of virtue, but not becoming a victim for the number. There are a lot of people who have become victims to the number of virtues. They are trying their level best to keep all the precepts perfect. Good luck for them. It is the start and the end for them. But the Blessed One says, don't become a victim to virtue. Higher virtue means having the right balance. There are so many discourses explaining those things. I'm not going to take them in this talk because it is not our topic anyway. But I'm just mentioning higher virtue means finding the right balance. And then higher concentration. Here again, it is finding the right balance. Before Buddha, they could not find this right balance. They were concentrated at very deep level and they were victims to concentration. And the classic example is the ascetic Asita. He was an advisor to the king Suddhodana, who is the father of the Blessed One. And when the prince was 7 days old, this ascetic Asita, you may be aware that he predicted this little prince is going to change the universe. He's going to preach the entire universe, how the suffering can be completely eradicated. And he was smiling. And then started crying. King asked, why you cry? Then the ascetic told him, the advisor told him, although he is teaching the world the most precious thing that is available in the universe, I will not be there when he's preaching. And even if I want to come from where I am, I won't be able to come. So, although he has this power of predicting precisely what is going to happen in the future, from the practice, from the mind development that he has already achieved, he cannot make these predictions unless he has developed his mind. He has developed his mind. He has so much of concentration, but that concentration has been paralyzed. He has not balanced it. So therefore, even if he wants, he will not be able to come out of that concentration after his passing away and listen to Dhamma, because he has not maintained the balance in concentration. So the higher concentration means not 100% concentration. The concentration that is required to understand the world, concentration that is required to realize the universe, the truth in the universe. And having that concentration will pave the way for you to realize the world. What is the truth in the world? Impermanence. What is the truth in the world? Non-self. What is the truth in the world? Suffering. So that understanding can only come when you have balanced concentration. But if you become a victim, if you try to identify yourself with concentration as the teachers before Buddha, then good luck. You will not have wisdom. You have wisdom, but it is not higher wisdom. I would say it is not the highest wisdom, rather than saying higher wisdom. That is the highest wisdom. So the Blessed One is helping the community of practitioners to be disciplined in these threefold factors, and having the faith in that, then you have gained the best gain that is possible under the sun. So there is a discourse called Chanki Sutta, where there is a very beautiful dialogue between the Blessed One and one of the learned young Brahmin, and in that the Blessed One is introducing three types of faith. The three types of faiths Blessed One is introducing are: first one is Pasada Saddha, second is Okappana Saddha, the final is Adhigama Saddha. Pasada Saddha means joyful faith. You are so elated to have this faith and you enjoy so much. And then Okappana Saddha means trustworthy faith. Trustworthy faith means it is not joy. You have really intellectualized it. You have matched it with various other things that you know of, and you have no doubt that this is the faith I should be in. And the Adhigama Saddha is no longer faith, attainment of faith. What you believe is true. When you acquire yourself, then it is Adhigama Saddha. So this is lacking in most of the denominations. They have Pasada Saddha, well and good. They can intellectualize to some extent, and some, when they try to intellectualize, they know it is not, they can't have trustworthy faith, they can't have Okappana Saddha. Therefore, 99.9% of the people live in the joyful faith, Pasada Saddha only. They hardly some can come in the trustworthy, and nobody will be able to come in those denominations to the attainment of faith right here, right now. They will give it only after you pass it. But what Blessed One is teaching is, you have faith now, joyful faith now, you have the trustworthy faith now, Okappana Saddha, you can attain that faith in this very life itself. That is the difference. So in this joyful faith, Blessed One is saying, when you have joyful faith, and not only the joyful faith, to have something, or for you to be delighted in what you do, there are 5 other factors as well. It is just faith and the endorsement by everybody, or oral transmission that has come from generation to generation, or you will be able to reason it out and justify, and maybe it is your viewpoint, accepted viewpoint, and after much deliberation. So all these 5 things may lead you to joyful faith, and by those 5 things and the joyful faith, only one thing you can do. That one thing is that you will not be able to see whether it is true or not. You can, if it is true, only thing that you will do is you will protect that truth. Blessed One is saying, protecting truth without going into the truth is like a line of blind people, and one blind person is passing something that he himself or herself that has not tasted, that has not seen for his own, from his own experience, is telling somebody else, to the next person, and then the next person, and then the next person. So no one has really tasted it, but they say that it is the truth. And if it is the truth, only thing that happens is we just pass the bouquet of flowers from one blind person to the other blind person. No one knows whether it's a bouquet of flowers or bouquet of bombs. That is what is happening. I'm not talking about other denominations. In the Buddhist world, that is exactly what is happening. No one, very rarely, very few people have really experienced what the Blessed One has taught. I'm not talking about generosity. I'm not talking about observing precepts. I'm not talking about concentration. What happens when you keep the mindfulness to the fore? Very few people have experienced, but now there are more and more people experiencing, and that's a good sign. But we have just been, our faith in the Buddhism has for long time have protected the truth, and it has been just joyful faith. And we should be thankful to them. We should pass our blessings to them. They have done so much to protect it, and it has now in our hands for us to enjoy it, for us to taste it. Right? Although they have done the role of the blind passer, they have done a tremendous job which we haven't done. We should not blame them. But once you know that there is something to be experienced, that something can be done, once you know, if you don't follow, then it's a big mistake. It's a big mistake because the followers of that person will not get this wonderful message because he is not practicing it. When you don't have the practice, well and good, you protect it and bring it. But when you know the practice, please start practicing. Once you start practicing that positive vibration, there is no need for you to advertise. That vibration will grab so many millions of people that you have not even thought. So therefore, joyful faith is just the start. And in that discussion, this young Brahmin asking the Blessed One, that name of that young Brahmin is Kapatika, if I remember right. He's asking, okay, and if you are saying joyful faith is not complete, and how can we going from joyful faith, which is the protection of the truth, to the next stage, which is awakening to the truth. Awakening to the truth means it has the trustworthy faith. Then the Blessed One says, awakening to, for you to go to the awakening to the truth, you will have to associate the people who are really practicing it, and then see whether whether they are talking about something that get rid of your weaknesses. The weaknesses are that we have, the main weaknesses are greed, hatred, and delusion. And if those teachers are talking about greed, hatred, and delusion, and then you can see it for yourself, not being greed, not being hateful, and not being deluded is something positive to you or something negative. And if you feel that it is a positive quality that brings happiness to you, then you have the trust in that teaching. And that, having that trust in the teaching, you will have to consider that as awakening to the truth. You are awakening to the truth because you have received some teaching, and that teaching, when you analyze from whatever perspective, the Blessed One is say asking us to see it from the point of view of the greed, hatred, and delusion. And when we see greed, hatred, and delusion, we will be seeing it from whatever the knowledge we have about the world. It may be from our professional knowledge, it may be from our intellectual knowledge, it may be from many things that we have learned from the society. We will put this new idea into the society and filter it and see whether it makes sense in all the corners of the society, all the beliefs of the society, all the viewpoints of the society. And then you realize, yes, getting rid of greed, hatred, and delusion is definitely the way out for the happiness to get to the truth. Then you will not only protect the truth, you are now awakened into the truth, which we call trustworthy faith. And then he is asking, once you are awakened into the truth, why do you say the acquisition of the truth? In other words, being the truth yourself. In other words, attainment of the faith. When you say attainment of the faith, how can we go from the trustworthy faith to the attainment of the faith or the attainment of the truth? Then the Blessed One says, you will have to keep continuing whatever the practice that has been taught to you to get rid of greed, hatred, and delusion. So to do that, when you continue the practice, it is not just continuing for the sake of continuing. He has mentioned 3 stages of that continuation. One is asevati, and the second is bhaveti, third is bahuli karoti. And asevati means you do practice for a few days, for a few hours, then you realize, yes, what I am awakened into is something that we can do. Definitely there is some truth in it. So which means you have now the first hands on the machine. You see the machine is working. And then you start gradually for over a long time. You change your timetable, you put your practice to your day-to-day routine, and you change the way that you behave, taking this practice on board. In other words, you try to be mindful as much as possible when you do your day-to-day work. So that means it goes to the next stage, which is bhaveti. And bahuli karoti means it has not been estimated how much. You keep doing that over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Then you will, every step that you continue will gradually take you to the attainment of truth. And that attainment of truth is not just few words, it is an experience. And to see the attainment of truth, we usually should have the reports. When you have the report, maybe you have taken few steps towards the truth, but you may not know. So in the discussion, we will be able to point out, the teacher will be able to point out that this is how you go towards the truth, attainment of the truth. And in this manner, the Buddha's teaching is having not just the faith for the sake of the faith, and that is a faith that you can go beyond. That is the faith that you can experience. Once you experience the faith, you no longer need to have faith. That so may you all be able to have that willingness, that determination to attain the faith. Blessings of the triple jet. I will conclude the talk here. Hope you have gained something from it, and we will take this forward in the next session tomorrow. Teruvan Saranai.